Dear student, I hope you are all great and well. Student, today I'm going to give a lecture on the Mendel law of segregations. Mendel, Mendel was a very brilliant scientist who gave the core concept about the genetics, who gave the concept of the factors at that time. But the factor that was discovered by the Mendels today, which is known as the genes. I've already made the videos, important videos relevant to the genetics, dominance alleles, recessive alleles, difference between the genes and alleles. They are helps to understand the Mendel law of segregation. First of all, I'm talking about the statement of the Mendel law of segregation, and after that, are descriptions of the practically and applicables in the living organism. When the gametes are formed in the body of living organisms, at that time the gametes are formed. This is known as gametogenesis. Then gametogenesis, the sperms are formed in the male and the eggs is formed in the females. The formation of the sperm is known as the spermatogenesis, while the formation of eggs in the female body is known as the oogenesis. Allah Almighty make a wonders in every living organisms in the earth. The some exceptions, some little exceptions are present in the biology, but the study of exception is known as the biology. That's why we cannot perfectly apply these formula in all living organism, but exceptually some list of organisms, we all organisms have their partners. They can mating, they can copulation to each other to produce the new generations and the progeny. During the gamete formations, the pair of genes which is known as the alleles. I've already talked about the alleles. Alleles are the pair of the genes. During the gamete formations, these alleles are segregate to each other. They segregate to each other, and each cells gain the one genes. This is known as a segregation. Segregation means separations of the two things from each other, known as the segregations. The Mendel law of segregations means that when both genes are segregated to each others, and one gametes receive one genes and other gametes receive another genes, this is known as the law of segregations. This is a very important concept about the generations, about the inheritance. Mendel discuss about the monohybrid cross. One is a dihybrid cross, one is a monohybrid cross. Mono means once when the in time in the other time when you study only one trait of an organism, which is known as the monohybrid cross. If I'm talking about only color of the flower, this is known as the monohybrid cross. If I'm talking about the size of the plant and the color of the flowers, right, which is known as the dihybrid cross. Dihybrid cross apply in the Mendel law of independent assortment, while the monohybrid cross is applicable in the first law of Mendel first law of segregation. You can see here, this is the two chromosomes, number 2 and number 1s, number 2 and number 1s. This is, suppose this chromosome is name is number 2, and this is the number 1, this is number 2, this is the number 1. During the gamete formations, before going to extra description, I some little touch about the first generations. The first generation is that when the parental generation, you can say, this is the further, suppose that this is the further